There. Welcome, welcome.
Hey everybody.
Warmly welcome everyone. It's always so exciting who connects into these calls. There's some familiar names, but also completely new faces and names. You are all equally warmly welcome. We have an hour and a half together around this fire. We are calling in from all over the world in this session. And that's very much a representation of the community that we are on the year-long journey. We haven't actually counted it yet, Judith, but we have quite a few nationalities signed up already. I'm thinking around 25, 30. Have you counted them?
Something like that. I haven't, but yeah, it's quite diverse already.
Yeah, it's really interesting. This is the fifth year, and the first year I'm Laura, by the way. I'm Laura. I'm Laura, and I'm the main space holder for this year-long journey. And I have lived in many places of the world, but I'm Danish and I live in Denmark right now with my family of four. I'm 45, and my children, I have two children. They are, Roxy is a preteen, and Carlo is a 6.5 year old. Anyways, when I had held space for the first year-long journey, because I'm Danish, I think that there was a lot of people signing up, although I have worked on an international level my entire life. I think it was 25% Danes that was part of the journey. And now the Danes are kind of falling to the background. So I don't know if there's any Danes with us today, but it's much more diverse. And that's also something that we have focused on. How can we make this more available to people from all over the world, and how do we spread the word? And then I think it's also just kind of ripples now that we have been doing this for many years now, that our international siblings help us share the word. So we will have a flow that is doing its best to give you a little taste for what you can expect. So there will be some elements where I just talk you through, this is the design of the journey. These are some of the elements. This is how we connect. This is why we want to gather. This is the intention. You will get to meet some of our siblings from previous cohorts. There will also be some time for inner reflection. This is the beginning of a new year, so we will have a bit of everything. And even though this is a taster session, which is the intention is also just to give you an insight into what this is about and ask your questions, we will do our best to also make this a nourishing space, even if you're not signing up or even really considering it. We just want this to be a space where we can leave feeling more connected and nourished when we say goodbye in an hour and a half from now. How does that sound? Are we ready? Great. So let's start. We always start our sessions with various ways of grounding and connecting inward. We do that in many different ways. Sometimes we really bring our bodies with us. Sometimes it's a gentle kind of tuning inward. Sometimes we kind of design a powerful soundtrack with different sounds. Today it's a gentle form of meditation. And I always stress that these are never forced or something you need to feel pressure around. If this is uncomfortable to you, receive what you want to receive for today, but don't feel you need to perform or do something you're not comfortable about. This is an invitation, as is always the case with every element on the journey. These are invitations. All right. So the invitation right now is to just quickly invite in a bit of a yang breath. So let's do like this. So when we pull our arms down towards our heart area, we inhale and then we exhale by pushing the energy outward. Do that 10 times in a rhythm that feels good for you. Just take a breath, an inhale and an exhale in a rhythm that feels nice to you. And close your eyes and turn the gaze inward and kind of just be comfortable wherever you are. If you're lying down or if you're seated, wherever you are, see if you can be as comfortable as is possible where you are. See if you can, if you can lengthen your spine a bit. And then allow the breath to arrive just as it is. No pressure to breathe in a certain way. But just pay a gentle attention to your breath. Maybe it would feel good and nourishing to put the right hand on the area of your heart and the left hand on the area of your belly. But if it doesn't feel good, no need to do that. So gently place your attention to your breath, that quiet, faithful rhythm that has been with you since the dawn of your time. Notice how, without forcing anything, the breath gives and the breath receives. It's a beautiful pattern of reciprocity made possible by the oxygen produced by trees on this beautiful planet we are lucky to call our home. This is actually the first teaching of regeneration. Reciprocity, rhythm, cycles, aliveness. Now, if it feels comfortable, see if you can soften your inner awareness, your inner gaze a bit wider. Sense into this virtual vortex we are all co-creating in this very present moment. See if you can sense the beautiful people that, like you, have tuned into this shared space. Investing this time to be in each other's presence. Each of you are arriving with a story. Each of you are arriving maybe with a longing, maybe with a question, maybe with a spark. You all have an inner light. We are all living in a time where it's easy to feel alone in our sensing. It's easy to feel like we are the only ones noticing an imbalance, noticing an ache, a collective longing, and also possibility. The truth is that none of us are actually alone in this. All around the world, there are people just like you, attuned, sensing, responding, and asking the deeper questions with open, courageous hearts. What is my role in this moment? How can I be of service? How can I contribute? Take a gentle breath in, all the way down to your belly area. Allow a rich exhale. Again, in through the nose. Then hold your breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhale. And now imagine all of us here today forming a circle, holding each other's hands. Envision a community that doesn't just dream of a more life-affirming future. A community that actually chooses to practice it. Experiment in how we can embody it, be it, and build it together. And in this circle, each one of us is a bright light. Some of us right now are steady and bright. Some of us are flickering. Some are not quite sure how strong they really are. But here is the beautiful thing of community. Light amplifies a light. When we come together, something shifts. Possibility expands. New pathways emerges. Friendships are made. Resilience is built in the greater web of our relationship that are here to nourish us in this time of turmoil. You are not meant to carry the work of regeneration alone. You are not meant to carry this alone. No one can and no one should. Regeneration is a communal act, an act of remembering how life itself works through networks, through relationships, through mutual nourishment, shared resilience. Take a deep breath in. I invite you now to feel your inner regenerator, the part of you that knows how to sense, know how to heal, know how to evolve, know how to create, know how to build nourishing relationships, knows how to create conditions conducive to love. Feel where that energy lives inside your body. Is it in your chest? Is it in your belly? Is it in your hands? Where is it? What does it look like? Whatever it looks like, wherever you feel it, trust it. That feeling represents a spark. And now imagine that spark connecting to the sparks around you, gently, respectfully, weaving together like fireflies beginning to gather at dusk, individually beautiful and collectively powerfully luminous. This is what can happen when a community take forms. Our lights stop flickering alone in the dark. They begin to weave, they begin to strengthen, they begin to build momentum, they begin to shine brighter than any of us could do alone. And as we move into this session, hold this simple truth close. You are needed right now. Your light is needed. There may be a lot of darkness in the world right now, but there is also so much light. And these times are asking us to join forces, to remember who we are, to remember each other, and to step into the work, not from exhaustion or duty, but from belonging, nourishment, and shared purpose, because we can do this, but we need each other. When you are ready, deeply breathe again, in through the nose, out through the mouth. See what feels alive in you right now. Maybe you want to put that down on a little piece of paper. Come gently into the space when you're ready. Warmly welcome again. I will share a few slides. I've already spoken a bit about the design of our session today. Why this heal-long journey? How is it designed? What will we explore? How often will we gather? Are some of the questions we will ask in this session. How much time do I need to invest? How will I connect with fellow travelers? And you will get to meet community members. You may have questions you've brought with you, and we will have time to answer these as well. So I'm Laura. I've already shared a little bit about me. There's a few resources that we will share in the follow-up email if you want to get to know me better. I've given quite a few talks that are available online and podcast interviews, etc. And you will hopefully sense my essence today, at least a bit about that. I have worked in the field of climate change, sustainability, leadership transformation since forever in many ways. My inner light was deeply activated as an 8-year-old when I was seeing a documentary about how the oil industry was destroying the Amazon rainforest, and I started children campaigns. And through that kind of organization that worked on the ground in the Ecuadorian part of the Amazon, I moved there after I had finished high school, lived there for a little while, and then I moved back because I wanted to study business. So I have a bachelor in business from London and Copenhagen Business School, because I wanted to understand this system, this logic from the inside out. And since I was 25, I've started various international organizations, all with the intention of pushing our societies in a more sustainable direction. I had minor traumatic brain injury over 10 years ago. And I think that really helped align me to my essence and whole space from that space. That's really where the regenerative leadership journey started. That's where Giles Hutchins and I met. We wrote a book. It became an international bestseller, although no publisher wanted to touch it because it was too weird. So we published it ourselves, and now it's been translated to 8 different languages. I started to teach and hold space virtually in 2019 and started the academy in 2020. I think that's enough for me for now. You'll get to meet the wonderful Judit later. She will share about her role as the community nurturer. All right, so why do we need you? Why do we need regenerators from all walks of life coming together and journey together for a year? We need regenerators because our world is out of balance. I often show this graph in my keynotes to show how our ecosystems is really out of balance, that everything from CO2 emission to ocean acidification to fertilizer use, GDP, population growth, tourism has been on the same steep increase since the 1950s, since the industrial era. And that's not disconnected from our inner ecosystem. That's something that we weave through again and again on the journey. That's part of how we approach this worldview, that we need to focus on outer ecosystems, but also inner ecosystems, because what is missing from these graphs and what is often missing from my old field of international climate change policy and sustainability, transition, etc., is inner sustainability, inner regeneration. But these two things, they go together. So that's part of how we approach the year-long journey, that we need to understand the inner and the outer and the interrelations and interconnections of these. So the Stockholm's Resilience Center has done the left graph that is showing that 7 out of 9 planetary boundaries we have now crossed. When I gave keynotes about this 3 years ago, it was 4 out of 9 planetary boundaries. Things are moving in the wrong direction at a rapid pace. And it is sadly the same for the state of our inner ecosystems. So that's part of how we approach this on the journey. We are looking at the outer collapse and the inner collapse as one and the same challenge. So we are weaving in different ways that we can understand this story of separation deeper. We need to understand ourselves, our own inner resilience, and how we can become regenerators of our own inner ecosystems. One of the frameworks we weave in and to understand, for example, our nervous system through the framework of Steve Polk's the polyvagal theory. Some of you may be familiar with, to understand how can we as regenerative practitioners practice our capacity to be in the world with a level of awareness around our inner state. Because the quality of our inner state is often activating ripples in outer landscapes. And it's important that we have a level of awareness around that. So that's one of the things that we dive deep into in the journey, understanding that, understanding some of the strategies that can help get us to a neuroception of safety so that we can work and live and build relations and create beautiful projects from that state, knowing that we are messy human beings and sometimes we will be in a neuroception of danger. But we have practiced our capacity to sense when we are in that imbalance, and we cultivate how we can build strategies for taking ourselves back into essence, anchoring, grounding. So that's one of our rhythms on the journey, to practice that inner and outer and understand that a regenerative approach always have a worldview that is looking at the challenge holistically. So what happens over here does have a direct effect on what is happening elsewhere in our ecosystem, regardless of whether we are space holders for a family, a community, a project, an organization, a municipality, whatever it is that we are space holders for. We need to understand the wholeness of the challenge that we assess. So, throughout the journey, we practice our capacity to understand inner, outer, ecosystemic approaches when we assess a challenge. So, for example, at an organizational level, we practice understanding the inner dimensions. What are the quality of our culture? What is our inner state? What do we actually do? What kind of ripples does this living system of the organization activate? And what kind of effect and impact does these ripples have on life-sustaining ecosystems? So, what are some of the things that we need to practice our awareness on the inner dimensions? For example, are the employees thriving at work? Are we collaborating, sharing knowledge? What is the quality of our feedback culture? What is our level of responsiveness and flexibility and our resilience? So that's some of the things that we look at when we assess a living systems on the inner dimension, the quality of psychological safety, well-being, job satisfaction, etc. But all of this has an impact on the projects that this little system activates. It has an impact on our footprint. So the products and services that come out of our living system, the governance, the financial flows, the material webs that is part of our living system, the buildings that we inhabit, everything it has an impact on. And then finally, what is the ecosystemic impact that our living system have? So that's one of the ways that we assess challenges and projects on the regenerative leadership journey. So we practice our capacity to be ecosystem nourishers and facilitators that have that capacity to sense and respond and detect key acupuncture points for health and vitality in our living system. So we always journey through inner and outer and ecosystemic regenerative transformation. We also go to the root cause of some of the separation that we see in our society right now. I'm a firm believer that we need to dare move beyond our comfort zone and not just kind of polish the surface, and therefore, we need to dare go to the root cause. I don't know if any of you have noticed, but we have a little serious these weeks where we are addressing our approach to a theme like decolonization. For example, one of the root causes is a colonial worldview that has taken over and is present in every corner of society. So we don't have time to dive super deep into this today, but you can read more about how we view this in this little two-part series that may end up being a 10-part series and a whole book. Who knows? But we will publish the part two tomorrow. But we want to make sure that we, throughout the journey, hold space for this level of understanding of where did we start to lose our track? Where did we start to disconnect from each other? See enemies everywhere? Where did we start to disconnect from our natural habitat? Where did we start to value masculine capacities more than feminine? Where did we start to value outer success and performance more than inner quality of health and well-being, vitality? Where did we start to value left brain hemisphere rationality and logic over the creative, holistically thinking right brain hemisphere? That's part of what we sit with on the journey as well. So we can explore how we as regenerators can be healing part of this separation. So this is also a journey of healing the separation that we have been through for many, many centuries. This is one of the many beautiful artistic illustration that our in-house artist Anadin has created for us to represent the essence of this chapter on the journey. So how can we as regenerators practice how we can shed layers that doesn't serve life? How can we practice having uncomfortable conversations with ourselves and our siblings in the community and beyond this community about our collective history? How can we practice becoming activators of life-affirming ripples? How can we practice getting to know the wisdom of life deeply? Is another chapter on this journey, exploring what is the essence of life-affirming wisdom. What can we learn from this 3.8 billion years of evolutionary wisdom that we can humbly listen to and be in right relation to? Another chapter is how can we practice our capacity of being ecosystem facilitators? We share exercises of how you can start to map your own ecosystems, but also how you can bring them to life. I share some of the exercises that I do for companies, organizations, and municipalities, where I help them hold space for practicing this way of seeing the organization as a living system. How can we detect potential and possibility? How can we detect stress, friction? And how can we use some of these exercises to train our capacity to hold space for the very important conversations that need to be held for us to be able to be activators of more health and more vitality? We also share many different frameworks throughout the year-long journey. One of the core frameworks is a framework that I created with Giles Hutchins. He and I wrote the book Regenerative Leadership together. But we never share frameworks as rigid frameworks that you need to be perfect and fluent in. We offer frameworks as a way for you to strengthen your capacity to be a regenerative weaver, meaning some of these frameworks really resonate with you. Some of them maybe not. So we practice that capacity of each of us weaving our unique, beautiful tapestry of life throughout this year. And we end up having uniquely different patterns of your practice. So frameworks, I believe, should never be held too rigidly. But the DNA framework can help assess life in organization, help us understand that for us as regenerative practitioners, we need to equally understand, for example, what I've already talked about, the importance of us also being decolonizers and understanding colonial patterns. But we also need to understand bioinnovation and biomimicry. We need to understand the power and potential of nature therapy. Need to understand the potential of self-organizing teams, flexible, agile teams and organizations. We need to understand how can we practice our capacity to listen deeply. So there are many different threads that we weave with throughout the journey. And my intention is that your capacity to be a leader of this age will be strengthened and expanded massively throughout this year. Because all of us that are here, we share, at least that has been the case in the years that I have held space for the year-long journey so far, that journey siblings share this collective longing to contribute to this transition of a mechanistic, hierarchical, toxic way of being in relationship with life and offer a different way of being in relationship to life that is rooted in health and vitality. And this year-long journey is also to design for you to continuously nourish the relationship you have with your own inner regenerative archetypes. We will explore the Buchanan two-loop model, this framework of collapse and rebirth, also through the lens of your leadership archetypes, the archetype of the hospice worker, the midwife, the community nurturer, the illuminator, the pioneer, to strengthen the relationship that you have with yourself and how you can strengthen the resilience to withstand systemic shocks that will inevitably come our way in the years to come. So this is the shift that we hold space for in the journey. And we do that with in many different ways, and also through our many wonderful guests, and also with all of the beautiful journey community members. What I think one of the most powerful things that people refer back to again and again is the power of the community, and that's also why I wove it in to the opening meditation today, because regardless of whether you decide to be part of this community or not, community these days are essential. How do we build them? How do we nourish them? How do we strengthen the ecosystemic resilience through the networks and relationship that we nourish and value? So this is in many ways the level of consciousness shift that we as regenerative practitioners are holding space for. Whether we are an HR director or head of sustainability, a teacher in the public school, part of the of a team of municipalities that are doing what they can to make their city more regenerative. Maybe you are a student, maybe you are a community builder already. We have people from all walks of life joining this journey, and what we share is this dedication to move from the mechanistic machine and into a life affirming way of viewing the world. Many share this feeling of being in the liminal, uncertain landscapes. Limin is the Latin word for threshold, and I, as many others, believe and feel very, very clearly that we are in a time of transition. We are in these foggy, gooey, messy landscapes of metamorphosis, and often it can feel like you are a lonely wolf. So part of my dedication with this space is to create a watering hole, a landscape you can land in and feel seen and feel held and feel part of a powerful wolf pack, because we need the wolf pack right now. And if you identify more with an eagle or a squirrel or an earthworm, you are equally welcome. But it's just that powerful metaphor of going from being the lonely wolf to a powerful wolf pack that needs each other. This is a visual that Journey alumni member Niels de Vischer from last year, and powerful illustrator and in-house graphic designer did for us to illustrate part of the essence of this community. That we are gathering from all walks of life, building a powerful soil, building a powerful mycelium by also daring to be with the dark chapters. So I believe that the more comfortable we get with also holding spaces of the darkness, cultivating soil, understanding that soil is the foundation for life, our capacity to navigate the darkness and the dark realms equally manifest in our capacity to bring in powerful light and illuminate parts of the world that needs to be lit up these days. I had a podcast 10 years ago called Cracks of Light, and in many ways that podcast brought people together that all had a dedication to make the cracks of light bigger and brighter. And that essence is also part of the essence of the Regenerators community spaces. We are joining forces to make the cracks of light in our world right now bigger and brighter. So a little pause for you. We will listen to some music and just gently sense inward. What are you longing for right now? What kind of watering hole do you need right now to feel nourished this year? So I will stop sharing and we can listen to some music and just pause for a moment and sense inward. What do you actually need and crave right now? Maybe you want to journal. Maybe you just want to close your eyes and reflect inward. Fine. You want to do that, like to either in the chat or by unmuting, share some of what you feel you're longing for this year. No pressure at all. But maybe some of you felt like sharing. You can be in the chat. You can raise your hand by doing this. There's also a function called react. And then you can actually raise your hand on the lower bar column. Hi, Nini. You just need to unmute
Hi,
yours.
Laura.
Yeah.
Hi, can you
Hi.
hear me?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I don't know why my face has gone all red. I think it's because of the screen is sort of like just reflecting red on me. I don't know why. So thank you for this. What I would I love this question, and what I think my water hole or what I need right now is in these chaotic times where it's like uh lies are truth and truth are lies. I think what I need is a community or people. I need bravery, I think. Bravery to be aware and to be intentional loving. So being aware of who we are and what the dynamics are between us. That's why I loved your article about colonization too. How that impacts the way we interact and how we look at ourselves. So with the awareness of what's moving in us, that intentional insisting love between people. and the bravery to call out things that are not right, and the courage to face the consequences, which can be devastating, of course. But I do like the wolf pack. I love when we lock arms. So yeah, bravery and intentional awareness based on love. Yeah.
Beautiful, Nini. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. That was really beautiful words.
Thank you.
And resonating deeply with what's very alive for me these not just weeks, but this phase of my life, this willingness to be uncomfortable also. But the awareness that having community helps, it activates a collective, courageous heart in a way, has been my experience. Anyone else that would like to share something? Maybe some of you have put something in the chat. Stephen is sharing, I'm longing for peace, coming into community with shared passion and purpose in and out of cultivation of courage, creativity, and sustenance. Beautiful, Stephen. Thank you. Jenny is sharing, clear and true mirrors, free of distortion in interactions at the watering hole. Thank you, Jenny. Beautiful. Community learning, reconnection, and hope. Thank you, Carlos. Anna, capacity, abundance, and simplicity. Know I'm enough. Know I'm enough. Connection and community, contributing value through service. Orlando is sharing, nourish my community with awareness and desire to be one with nature. I love your intentions and cravings for this year. I can't read all of them, but do yourself the favor and tune into these beautiful words. Thank you so much. Hi, Heidi. You need to unmute.
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yes.
What I just wanted to share what Nini said made me smile because I went through this journey last year, and my whole intention for this year is actually bravery. And that has a lot to do with what I have been going through this last year, learning and unlearning so much from this. So my intention for this year, bravery and action, because I feel so inspired and so much wiser now, having gone through this, so that I can't not. So I have decided that my work life will have to be not just about, but rooted in regeneration, because it has become such a big part of how I am that for me not to continue with this is actually impossible. Especially the whole knowledge about colonization, knowing when I am colonized, what I have contributed to colonizing others, other things, other people. That has been mind-blowing to me in a way, so that I see things completely differently now. And I'm so grateful for you teaching me that, and all the participants in this last year's cohort has taught me so much. I'm so grateful for that.
Wow, Heidi, thank you so much. You make me very emotional. That was powerful words. And I think what you're also speaking into is the fact that this is a lifelong journey. There's really no end destination. And I learned so much from people like Heidi that are joining with us for a year. We learned so much from each other, and it's very important for me to stress. And it's also something that we put in our soil agreement, and Judit will speak more about this very soon. That we put no one on pedestals here, and that's part of a decolonial approach. No one here is experts, no one here is more worth than others. So, for example, in this community, Judith and I are space holders. We are holding the space for you and doing everything we can to infuse and input this community with inspiration and amazing guest speakers, but it's a space holding job that we have, that is part of our role here. And Heidi, are you part of the community of care and practice as well?
I am considering whether I should join this one or where I should join. I'm joining something for sure because I miss it too much.
Yes, and Malik, hi Malik, there you are. Malik is one of the space holders of our kind of designated community of care and practice. And we're not speaking a lot about that today because that's for you in a year's time. But we have an offering of continuing to journey together in a self-organized space. I'm a community member, but I'm not a facilitator or a space holder, the same with Judit. So it's held by alumni, and that's a space for continuing the lifelong journey. Rea, you also joined the journey last year. I just noticed you.
Yeah, I did.
And today
Thanks.
you and I, or no, that was yesterday. Yesterday you and I had a little premiere because you actually have a very inspiring podcast and you've interviewed me for that. And our sharing and conversation in December ended up being evolving a lot around community actually, and this year-long journey. And I know you need to leave, but is there anything that you would like to share from the perspective of being an alumni and that you could share with siblings that are on the call today, considering whether they should join or not?
Yeah, thank you, Laura. Yeah, I'm so amazed by seeing so many people, 95 people on this call. Makes me very happy. Yeah, I thought I would speak a little bit about my journey because I think it's been quite transformational for me. So I'd like to share a little bit about who I was before the journey and who I am now. So I studied engineering, bioscience engineering, then specialized in chemical engineering. Then I did a PhD, then I did a postdoc. So that all of that took me about 15 years. And with time, I started losing myself in it and not in a good way. Did a lot of inner development, became aware of the state of the world. And I suddenly didn't want to be an engineer anymore because I saw the effect that the chemical industry was having on the world, the extraction, also colonization there. And I just felt like I don't want to contribute to this. And so I started looking for people who shared that opinion. And I realized back then that they were quite hard to find. But then, so the whole idea of the lone wolf and then the wolf pack really, really very strongly resonates with me. And then I started learning about regeneration, and then via I came. I followed the course, the Regenerators course with Laura and Judit, and I think what has it's like the cool thing I think is that it's a personal transformative journey, but also a professional one, because now I'm also trying to launch a company. And I'm sure that I would not be launching it in the same way now than I would have done it before. Because what Heidi also said, like, you cannot go back. It's like when Aladdin or the ghost of Aladdin is out of the bottle, then it's just out and then you have to deal with it. And dealing with it, I have to say, is really not always that easy. It was actually also a very tough journey, especially the first months where you go into the story of separation. And I realized that I was raised in a story of separation and that yeah, it's so deeply ingrained and it was very confrontational and I felt guilty and ashamed. But luckily the community is there to really support you with all these feelings. And the cool thing, Laura, you haven't spoken yet about home circles, but that was also a very big thing for me, that you can share weekly or bi-weekly or monthly with people in a smaller group. And so now I'm just, yeah, it's like part of who I am. I look at the world differently. I see things from a different angle. I try to, yeah, put my energy and time in a different, two different things in a different way, so that I also stay regenerative and that I don't fall into a burnout that was very acute some time ago. So yeah, I can really just recommend it so strongly for so many different reasons. And if any of you would like to speak to me privately on LinkedIn or so, then I'd be very happy to do that as well.
Thank you so much, Rea. And follow Rea's work. Rea is doing amazing things in the world, and tune into her podcast. And that's something that actually is humbling me a lot. The quality of the people in this space. You met Heidi, you met Rea, um, and another Journey alumni, both from the 22 and the 25 cohort. Shimrit is has written many beautiful stories about our alumni. She's an alumni herself and has written beautiful stories about our alumni because I have a deep conviction and belief that we need to share each other's stories, and we need to move away from the charismatic hero journey story, and share our stories, and that we can be inspired by those. And that's actually also, as I understand Rea's podcast, part of her intention, with these sharings. So let's include that, Judith, in the follow-up as well, that we share a link to the Regenerator stories, because she has written quite a few beautiful stories. Judith shared her own last week, because this is my intention with mentioning this was that Reed was recording a voice note once she had the interviews over the past couple of months, and she was very emotional because it was raw beauty in these humans, and that is what gives me so much stamina and strength and love to be in the presence of people like you. So I'm very grateful for people like you on the call, regardless of whether you join this journey or something else. Sonia, it's wonderful to see you two again. Sonia, you are also a 25 journey traveler.
Yes, absolutely. And like always, that's such a pleasure to see you all. So it was really important to me to be here today and to share just with my heart and my soul what wonderful experience is that journey. Yes, it's a question of beautiful souls. We already shared lots of metaphors around the wolves, the loneliness, and personally, I feel like I found a family. And really, I know that the word is strong, but it's really what I feel. Yes, to feel supported, to feel that you can bring your wholeness, your strength, your vulnerability, and your inner seasons can change all over the year. I mean, very lots of time. And you have so many possibilities. You can just stay and listen because that's the way you feel. And you can contribute and go ahead. And yes, personally, so I had this kind of chance to bring my energy to the collective. This chance, for instance, to go facilitate with Laura, Judith, and Marion the closing ceremony in December, and it's this kind of possibilities that you have by joining that community. And actually, we are saying that it's a 1 year long journey, but it's not only 1 year. Actually, it's just the beginning of something so much bigger. Yeah, so yeah, for people who know me, they know the heart that I'm feeling, and yes, to see the smile on Laura's face and Rhea's, and yes. And like Rhea's shared, if you want to keep in touch and go deep in the testimonial, don't hesitate, and I will put on the chat my LinkedIn and also the post that I realized just today around our community right now. So
Thank you so much, Sonia.
Yes, do that, but gift for yourself. Thank you.
Sonia facilitated, as you said, that we have a closing ceremony in December, and it's a tradition that the closing ceremony is held by alumni and current siblings to, in a way, symbolize that the torch is passed over to you. And it's always so beautiful and magical to kind of see that beauty embodied in the community speaking through individual siblings. And Sonia and Marianne did a very beautiful job. We will hear what Akar has to share, and then we will actually need to move on, even though I love these sharings. But I would love for you to get to meet Judit as well. And then I have a few slides with a bit of the more kind of yang elements. So how is it structured? How is it designed? How often do we meet? That I think will be good for you to receive as well. But hi, Akar. You are not a Journey alumni, right?
Not yet, but
Not
I
yet.
feel that I am already a part of this uh, weaving community, this togetherness. So I
Sure.
just am feeling called for sharing a very few things that I am feeling. So I'm from India, and I just wanted to share. It's being wonderful. That's after my transformative Schumacher College experience last year, and also convivially being a part of eco activism, as well as kind of a cross pollinator of certain bioregional movements in and out of India. I intend that this coming year, this year actually, and the years to come, that I strive towards really in being humble genuinely and being radically open to the possibilities in how I practice my humaning in the world. So, in reciprocity with the planetary consciousness that we are co-inhabiting, not only intellectually in the restrictive sense, of course, as you already pointed out, but deep down, very existentially, creatively. And I really feel after hearing, after listening, really listening, not only hearing, that this elegantly simple, collectivity oriented humility that we are all seeking here, that really knows how to hold respect for the marginalized,
Yes.
suppressed ways of knowing, like storytelling, imagining, sensing, all of these things. I feel that all of these together are resistance in today's fragile world order. So
Yes.
this is my willingness to loosen myself up and to not to be with instead of be over. So
I love
that's
it,
what I
Akar.
wanted to share.
And I celebrate
Thank you.
that so much. It is the antidote, right? It's that this is what we are called to do, regardless of how we do that. That's not important, but that's what we need to
Yeah.
do. Gather in community and be willing to humbly unlearn and kind of give yourself over again and again. What you were also speaking to also reminded me of something that I wanted to make sure all of you knew is that because we have journeyed in these year-long spaces for 5 years now. That means we have quite a strong alumni community of regional chapters because what we stress again and again is the importance of self-organized community spaces, either regionally or topic-based. So when you join the journey, you also get access to these different self-organized groups. And there's a powerful chapter emerging in India. Maybe you could be one of the focal points for that, Akar, because the more people that join the community space, the more numbers we get in each of the regions. So in the beginning, the first year, there was a Colleen from South Africa. Now I think they are 10. So they are gathering and actually meeting up physically. It's not always possible, sorry, in every region, but we have very strong chapters in Denmark, in UK, Norway, US, Brazil, Argentina, South Africa now, Australia. I think more, but that's part of kind of my dream of this journey community actually activating a greater field of ripples that can self-organize and hold themselves and be a continued kind of um, anchoring point. So many ripples are activated that I don't know anything about, that Judith doesn't know anything about. But Judith was actually writing a piece about that last week that we can share as well. Time flies, and we also need to make sure we have time for your questions. We have half an hour left. But next up is for you to meet the lovely Judith that I was lucky to meet first when she joined the journey in 2023. Then she joined the community of care and practice. Then she actually applied to be a space holder for the community and practice when it started out. But then a couple of months after, I tapped her shoulder because I thought she would be just perfect as a community nurturer for the year-long journey community. Hello, Judith.
Hi.
Would you like to share a bit about your role, your background, and also maybe the soil agreement, which is part of a process that you help hold space for?
I actually don't know where to start because I don't know what else to say about community. Like you have already seen it, like all these previous journey travelers sharing and just in the chat, like you are already doing that of like supporting each other and talking to each other. So that's basically what this is about. My role more specifically is just to make sure that this is happening, that you have the spaces, that you find like the ways to connect to each other, and that you feel an anchor and in a space that cares and that holds you for the whole journey. And this is basically what I do, because it's also what I experienced as a journey traveler in 2023. Like a space where you find mirrors, where you can so easily relate to each other, where you find courage, you find vulnerability, you find challenges, you find so many connections, friends for life, business partners. So it really is amazing. So it's basically, how can we make sure that you have access to all this and that you feel safe and courageous to be part of this? Laura was sharing about the soil agreement. You will be able to see that, for example, on the website. And the soil agreement is what other places call community rules. We don't call it rules or guidelines or anything like that. We call it an agreement because we don't take being in community as something for granted, but an intentional way of how do we want to be nurtured together and navigate the journey and this year-long journey together. So it's a set of principles, of agreements that we decide to, okay, yes, I am gonna be showing up like this, and I'm gonna be connecting with the rest of journey travelers like this. And this is not just something that comes from the bottom down, like Laura and I put it together or anything. There is a base, but the most important part is that this is co-created by all of us. During the first week of the journey, you will receive an invitation to share those thoughts to the question of, how do you feel nurtured? How do you want to be in community? And all of that comes together, and we all agree that this is how we are going to be together in community for the year-long journey. So that's just an example of how important it is to weave in community in everything that we are doing, like breakout rooms in the sessions, like the home circles. These are like small spaces, like small groups of 5 to 7 people to journey with in a more intimate space. And we do the whole matching, so you can also kind of like feel some sort of like connection beyond a maybe random way of putting you together. And yeah, all of that is part of it. Laura has spoken also about the community of care and practice. You can reach out to Malik if you have any other questions about this. But that's basically a space that the journey doesn't finish with the journey. It's a lifelong journey, and we provide that space. There were some questions in the chat about like how many active members do we have at the moment. So we are already more than 1,000 people across 70 countries. Is everybody active or not? What does it mean as well? Like some people are sometimes in need of a retreat, of more like a quiet space, and maybe they are not that active, and then they gather the energy to come back into the community. But we never kind of like break with anybody, and you can be as part of this as you want, as much energy as you have. There are many also groups, many initiatives, many projects that are being co-created by the community itself. And yeah, we will share also about like what are these regenerative ripples that are activated during and after the journey, because that gives you a good idea that this is not just 12 months together and ciao and next thing. Like we continue creating, we continue supporting each other.
Thank you so much, Judith. I will share some of the Yang elements now. There's so many questions in the chat, and a lot about, do we have any alumni from this region, this region? We have alumni from most regions. I just saw someone pop up from Finland, which reminded me that first, we have quite a few alumni from Finland. Quite a few people from Finland signing up this year. I think maybe 4 or 5. This is the year with the most Finnish people. And the reason that I'm zooming in on Finland is that there's also a gathering in Finland this year, and there is a gathering in West Nigeria. There's a gathering in UK, there's a gathering in Denmark, and more gatherings will probably emerge. And you are invited to all of them. All right. Bum, bum, bum. So how is this journey designed? So this is our cyclical wheel, and if we start from the top right corner, we'd start in the energy of winter. Not the season of winter, because we are a global community. So some of us are navigating summer right now, other of us are navigating winter. So we see it as an energy. We see it as essential for regenerators that, as I said before, that we would get comfortable navigating the darkness, the dark realms, that we understand what does soil cultivation mean, so we can apply that also in an organizational context. The foundation for all life to thrive starts with the soil, whether that is actual literal soil when we are gardeners in the fields, or whether it's cultural soil. So the energetic chapter of winter, we explore themes as the story of separation, colonial patterns, kinship, understanding ourselves as ancestors, soil cultivation, rest and stillness, cyclical approaches to life and work. Then we move into spring, which is the season of the journey where we are exploring many different frameworks. It's also the season on the journey where we start to invite in many of the kind of business cases and examples. We also have a library of previous business cases that have presented in previous cohorts that will be made available to you. So we have Vivo Barefoot, that was previous year. Pigtail Investment Management was the previous year. This year, the live sessions we will have is with Joost Block, the founder of Buurtzorg. If self-organization is very familiar to you, or the book by Frederick Laloux, Reinventing Organization, you will be familiar with that case. So he will come and share about his experience and journey. We have Louise from Head of Leadership Transformation in Mercedes-Benz Vans. She's been on a journey for a few years, transforming their culture to more regenerative ways of being. She comes and shares their regenerative leadership transformation, what she has done, how the team works together, how this transition process looks like. And then we have Zebra coming in and sharing how they work with, for example, decolonial marketing in general. So this is the season of the journey. We also have Michelle Holiday, who comes in during the spring season to share her project ecology map that will help you also assessing your projects and companies and organizations. This is the season of on the journey where we are exploring the wisdom of nature, logic of life. We are exploring the DNA framework. So we are really kind of getting a lot of juicy stuff for our backpacks. And then we move into an energy of summer where we are practicing on our own cases, presenting and sharing and exploring and helping our siblings, helping ourselves, exploring how can we move our projects and our challenges further by applying what we have learned already. We also explore regenerative capacity building, regenerative leadership capacities through archetypes, as I said before. And then we start to move into an energy of autumn where we focus on integration. We focus on community-led sessions. So this is the season of the journey where you, as journey travelers, are sharing some of your magic, some of your wisdom, and that's usually a very abundant season of the journey. We are helping you integrate and reflect by having journey sessions focused on essence of place, essence of potential, essence of you, what is part of your unique medicine you bring to the world. And then we are bringing in alumni, and we have a beautiful session in November where we are bringing it all together and playing together across journey cohorts. We have 6 pre-recorded modules that we will weave with for especially the first 6 months. So that's part of kind of your homework, and they are designed for us to be able to dive deeper when we are actually together. So this is some of the kind of please watch this before this session so that we can dive deeper together. It's not always that journey travelers have the time, but that's what we strongly recommend that you do before any session. This is the live session with guest speakers that we have this year. You can read more about them on our website, but they are all beautifully adding in very, very different ways to the regenerative field. This is what it looks like on the inside. So when you log in, you get kind of you get into the platform, and this is a screenshot from session 1 on why we need a new approach to addressing the challenges of the 21st century. So that's what it looks like. You can listen to the modules on like a podcast. We have an app where you can access all the course content through that app. So you can listen on the go, you can download to your mobile, you can also watch the video, you can even print a transcript. I don't recommend that because I show some visuals while I talk that will really help you integrate, but it's available for you if you are if that's what you prefer. You get a workbook that you can either print or download to your device, and it's a so-called editable PDF. So there's a few reflective questions, and you can write in that either on your computer, or you can print it and write by hand. So that's workbook is designed to guide you through the year-long journey, especially the 6 pre-recorded modules. Then we have our community space for the 26th cohort, where you get an overview of all the sessions, you get the Zoom links, you have your own profile so you can write to each other, direct private messaging. There's an open space right now. Everyone who's joining is introducing themselves, saying, "Hi, I am Laura, I live in Denmark, la la la." So we can get to know each other, but this is really our space. We don't want to be on Facebook or anything else. This is our kind of close community space. So you have everything in one. This is the alumni space for resources called Living Library. This is a space where everyone that has been with us have access so that we can help build our shared collective wisdom and share resources. To the left-hand side, you can see some of the themes. And this is book recommendations, podcast, video recommendations, new scientific papers, new books that comes out that we share here. So that's something that you can explore when you have time. When you begin the journey, there's plenty of insights for you, but this is something that you have access to for at least a few years. We don't say lifetime access because we believe that what does lifetime really mean? The journey travelers of the 22 cohort still have access. Maybe that will change soon, but you at least have access for 2 to 3 years. So no rush. Our various sessions, we have a monthly insight session where we gather for 2 hours. And every month we gather at 2 time slots, so we make this accessible regardless of where you are on our planet. The insight session is where Judith and I have designed a flow, and there's a rhythm, and there's an exercise, there's a presentation element, there's a meditation, there's maybe an embodiment element. There's always a breakout because we value deeply that you actually get the chance to talk to each other. That's something that we don't do in our taster sessions, but that's something that we always do in the insight sessions to build relationships and to have a smaller place for you to process, reflect, and share. Then we also have a monthly emergence session. Emergence sessions are unplanned. So we are just showing up and holding space for whatever feels alive with the theme, with the season we're currently navigating on the journey. Usually quite potent sessions and wonderfully unplanned. And then we have the sessions with guests. We have at least nine guests this year. Sometimes we add more throughout the year, but at least 9. And then we have a quarterly cafe session with our alumni where they hold space for sessions that feel like emergent sessions. And then, as Rhea was talking about, you all have the opportunity to join a home circle, which is a smallish space. Judith was also speaking to that. In the onboarding survey, we ask you a few questions about that. So please answer those honestly and also reflect inward. Do I actually want to invest time in a home circle or not? So that we can design these home circles with people that have the extra time to invest in building relationship in the smaller circles, and they self-organize when and how often they want to gather. And then we have the community-led sessions that I've already shared a bit about, where you step in and step up and hold space about a topic you feel passionate about. And then we have the physical gatherings. More about that when and if you join. I already mentioned a few of them that we know will happen this year. They are self-organized, which means it's not something that I design or Judith design. Judith will join the West Nigeria one with our 24 sibling Emmanuel, who's holding space for a powerful regeneration project in his local community, and we are joining him to get a once in a lifetime opportunity to contribute during the planting season, but also just to gather with siblings and see a side of the world that maybe you wouldn't have the opportunity otherwise. How much time does the journey require for me is a question we always get, of course. And I think it was Sonia who was speaking to this, Sonia from last year's journey cohort, that sometimes you have a lot of time to invest, other times not so much. Judith was experiencing the same when she was navigating the journey, and she writes about that in her blog that we can share in the follow-up. Sometimes she had a lot of time, sometimes less, because we are together for a full year. And there are natural cycles and flows in a life. But what everyone speak to is that although I wasn't able to be present in every session, I still felt the container. Because one of the things is that we nourish is a weekly rhythm of getting a tailor-made newsletter. So every Monday we share a kind of a cohort specific newsletter. What is the current theme? What feels alive? Some reflective prompts, some podcasts you can listen to, and just helping you navigate the journey. So this is where we are on the journey now, and this is where we are heading. This is what would be great for you to to have sat with or seen or listened to before the next session, so that we do our very best for you to never feel lost. And if time is busy on other projects for, let's say, 3, 4 weeks, the journey navigation help you to kind of have in the background a constant rhythm of what we are exploring. And when you're ready, you can easily make your way back in. All right. I'm gonna stop sharing now and hope that that answered some of the questions you may have about rhythm and themes and how we journey together. And now we have 10 minutes left. We've already listened to a few of our alumni. If there are more of you here that want to share something, feel free to do that. If there's any of you considering joining us this year, please share if you have a question or a reflection. The next 10 minutes, we just hold space for what wants to emerge. Hello, Sarah. How are you?
Hi, thanks. I'm good. Very inspired. Yes, I'm thinking of possibly joining this year's cohort. I've got a question. I've been for years in this looking at this regenerative paradigm. I went also through the Schumacher College and the Global Eco Village Network, and a lot of them share the same type of values. And so I think one of the things I'm a little bit preoccupied with is how much of the content might be a bit repeated from the lessons I've got, because I've already been in this field for a while. And one of the things that I would be looking for, hopefully, through this course or in life in general, in the regenerative side, is developing tools in some ways to be able to identify, for example, a company and looking at what are the issues and what are the regenerative practices that we can apply to make this business a regenerative one, or apply that to community context, or apply this to, I don't know, any sort of organization one way or another. And I think that's something that I'd quite like to know is how much practical can we get on this? Because you mentioned the idea of sharing case studies and things like this, but I'm wondering, will we get our hands into that, even if it's fictional, but just as a way, as a team, to work on some identifying the issues and what are the solutions that we can get into?
Yes, thank you, Sarah, and thank you for that question. And if my answer doesn't quite kind of satisfy you, I'm happy to also have a call with you to dive deeper into, so that you can get a better sense of whether too much of this will be repetitive. So I'm a really strong believer in us kind of rolling up our sleeves. What excites me as a regenerative practitioner myself is to collectively develop our capacity to assess real life situations. And because of what I do besides the journey is that I hold space for regenerative transformation processes in organizations. So throughout the journey, I always share some of the challenges and some of the project that I'm working on right now. Also, if I can't say the name of the company or the organization or the municipality that I work with. So that's something that we weave with throughout the journey. And I think part of my background as the regenerative practitioner that I represent, if you could say that, is my business background in a way. That's where I come from academically to a great extent, and I'm super passionate about helping transformations transition, and how do we hold space for this? What are the challenges that come up again and again? What are the concrete also frameworks, but also practices and exercises that we can do that help hold space for this transition? And that said, I'm also a strong believer in the capacity that we need to develop. And I don't know how much you are trained in that already, but our capacity to also hold space for processes of death and rebirth, because that's what I meet again and again and again and again in companies and organizations, municipalities that I help hold space for. That we as regenerative practitioners, we need to be really comfortable also holding a process for them. I'm letting go what needs to die here. And sometimes that can be raw and primal. So that's woven into the journey as well. Not directly training in hospice work, because that I would recommend for you to study with an organizational death doula and to have the embodied kind of practice of how do we hold that space. But it's something that is woven in to expand our capacity and understanding of that element, for us to strengthen as regenerative practitioners. But then it's hospice work, but it's also our capacity to how do we bring into HR and head of sustainability the potential of us working with biomimicry inspired pathways, and that's something that is something we address more in the kind of spring and summer phase. But the summer phase is dedicated to real life challenges and projects. So that is 2, 3 months where we intensively sit with your challenges and do our best to assess that. What would regenerative pathways and avenues of actions be in this context? I hope that answered your question. And if not, please reach out to me and I'm happy to kind of also, you can share some of the programs you've been on and I can go through them and see, maybe this will be too repetitive for you. Did that satisfy to some extent the question you had, Sarah?
Yeah, it does. Thank you. Yes, very keen to not just be in the theoretical, but also the practical. So that
Yes,
answers that.
exactly.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and as I said, there's also a library of previous cases that have joined us that you will get access to. I worked for a long time, for example, with the transition that Vivo Barefoot went through, because I believe that's where we learn, right? We learn it can't stay at the shiny, perfect level. We need to also roll up our sleeves and understand what are the challenges when we are space holders of regenerative transformation in organizations and wherever it is we work. Any other questions? The chat has exploded, so there's over 100 messages, so I don't have the bandwidth to to go through it right now. I hope you are not sharing this is shit. If you are, I haven't seen it, but I hope there is a collective kind of sharing of wisdom and resources and contacts. Judith, is there anything that you have seen in the chat that I should address?
I'm going through it and trying to reply to everything. I think like you went also through some of the questions already in the design, and yeah, basically for everybody who's asking about are there people from here, from here, from here? I from the top of my head I cannot remember every place, but really it's growing, and something that we see for sure every year is that more people from many different countries and corners of the world are joining. So for sure, maybe nobody from your country yet, but you are the one who's going to start it.
Yes. Hi, Christian.
Hi, I'm really pleased to be here and feel inspired and am considering joining, but I have some possibly obnoxious yang questions, because it's about the time and the place and the money
Yeah.
and the practical signing up for this and the registration process and this kind of very tedious, super practical stuff. Can you possibly send us a link? I was perusing your website and found it a little difficult to navigate in terms of finding these very particular pieces of information. So maybe if you can help us sort of find that easily, or just send us maybe possibly a mail or something, that would be very helpful, I think. Thank you.
Yes, of course, Christian, and I'm sorry you found our website difficult to navigate. For full transparency, we thought it was a great idea to start a redesign of our whole website in the autumn. We probably shouldn't have done that because you're not the only one who has shared that. So that's something that we will park that for now and get back to it
Well, I'm just being brutally honest. Sorry,
Thank you for
it's a nice
that.
website, but I mean that
Thank you
particular
for
piece of
that.
information I think
Yes,
was difficult. Yeah.
we in the follow-up email, because if you are here, then it means you have signed up for the taster session, and we will send you a follow-up email with all the kind of essentials. And there's also a link to a Canva presentation and deck, which is more Yang style. So
Hmm.
when are we gathering? Who are the guest speakers?
Hmm.
What are the dates? What is the price? So take a look at that. And if that still didn't answer your question, please feel free to reach out to Judith, to Ida, that is not here today, but she is the one at the other end of hello@regenerators.co.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you, Christian. Thank you for addressing this. Very important. We both need the yin and the yang, right? Isavari, was I saying that in the correct way? Where did you go?
I am here. Hi, hello everyone.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. So I'm happy I made this tester. My name is Isavari Abukwe. Let me just say that I live in Kenya, and I have been on a personal journey, and based on that journey, I've met a lot of people who share in the belief of regenerators, right? So I was recommended by a friend from Global Regeneration Collab. They did tell me about the scholarship, so I was like, I really want to get to know what the Regenerations Academy is about. And I'm loving this taster. I feel like it's aligned with what I am looking to do and where I'm at. So yeah, I just wanted to come on here and introduce myself and say thank you so much. This was lovely.
Thank you so much. I hope we see you on the journey, Isavari.
Me too.
All right, we have come towards the end. Um, no, I actually do not have the possibility of tuning into the chat, but if you have any questions that may come tomorrow, please don't hesitate to reach out. We close registration in a week from now, right, Judith? On the 27th? Yes. It was really lovely to be in this presence with you all. Thank you for co-creating the space. Thank you for showing up. And we have passed with 3 minutes, but we always close our sessions with a little grounding. Not as long as when we begin, but just kind of to anchor us in with this space that we all contributed to. So the invitation again is to close your eyes and turn the gaze inward, and maybe you want to move your body a little. Tune in to the visual of community that we explored at the beginning, the visual of all of us representing a brightly shining light. And together we can make these cracks of light, these individual lights, beaming brighter and brighter. You are all representing a light in this world right now. We need each other. We need you. Thank you so much for showing up. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Hold it. And let go. Exhale. Lots of love to all of you. Hopefully we'll see you, but regardless, stay safe. Bye.